Hey everyone, we're back at it with our playthrough of Pokemon Yellow to commemorate its 25th anniversary. I've been having a really fun time replaying one of the first video games I have ever played, and it's been great seeing all the comments from everyone about what they think about this playthrough. For those of you that are just tuning in or needing a little bit of a recap, we just got out of Rock Tunnel and we're about to start this episode with another battle against our rival. Our rival opens up the battle with Fearow, but we're prepared with 25 leading the charge. Fearow is faster and starts with Growl, which doesn't concern us. Our Thundershock hits hard, leaving Fearow in the yellow, but it still doesn't attack. On the next turn, we easily take it out. Shelter's up next, so of course we keep 25 in. This time our Thundershock lands a critical hit, resulting in a one-shot knockout. Another Pokemon down, and 25 reaches level 26, where it learns Thunderbolt. We replace Slam with this powerful new move, and switch 25 out for Shades, knowing our rival is about to send out Vulpix. Vulpix is faster, but the AI messes up royally by using a worthless Roar. Water Gun is the obvious choice, but it only takes Vulpix down to half health. That's okay though, because Vulpix keeps spamming Roar, so we stick with Water Gun. It almost finishes Vulpix, but our rival partially heals it up. At this point, it feels like Vulpix is hanging on with just 1 HP. It finally switches to Tail Whip instead of Roar, but it doesn't matter, we land one more Water Gun to knock it out. Next is Sandshrew, and I switch to Legend. It's still trying to prove itself ever since a Sandshrew knocked it out in the previous episode. This time Legend doesn't have to do much. One Vine Whip brings Sandshrew into the red. Sandshrew fights back with a Slash, which doesn't deal much damage, but it's nice to see our rival actually go on the offensive. Still, Sandshrew can't survive another Vine Whip, so we move on to Eevee, but not before Legend learns Poison Powder, replacing Tackle. With Eevee out, we switch back to 25, who is still at full health, making this an even looking fight. We strike first with Thunderbolt, which takes Eevee down to half health. Eevee counters with Sand Attack, lowering our accuracy, causing our next Thunderbolt to miss. Eevee tries to follow up with Tail Whip, but it fails. Ha! On our next attempt, Thunderbolt lands as a critical hit, dealing enough damage for the knockout. And with that, we secure an easy victory against our rival. Well, we can't progress in Pokemon Tower yet, as most of you know, so it looks like we'll have to move on to another part of the game. I'm trying to follow the order the game suggests, so I guess that means we will be battling Erica soon. And yes, that means we'll also fight the trainers along the routes instead of skipping them, because I think Mew species and Char could really use the experience. This is a great opportunity for Char to shine. Sure, it might be a little underleveled, and I wish we had a stronger fire move, but it's still a fire type going up against grass types, so I think it will do fine. Starting out this battle against Erica is Tangela. Our first Ember lands as a critical hit. Great, but I'm a little concerned that we need a crit to do that much damage. How much does a normal Ember do? Tangela's Constrict barely scratches us, and another Ember hits hard, leaving Tangela in the red. Constrict remains Tangela's move of choice, so one more Ember finishes the job. Next is Weepinbell, and unfortunately, Ember doesn't take away even half of its health. Weepinbell counters with an Acid, which is a little scary, so we'll need to focus here. Another Ember gets Weepinbell into the yellow, but Char also takes another Acid, and is now in the yellow too. Weepinbell survives yet another Ember, but this time it gets burned. The burn really helps Char hang on, as it lowers Weepinbell's attack stat, making Acid less effective. I was hoping the burn damage would finish Weepinbell off, but nope, it's still standing. That's okay, a quick scratch secures the takedown. Char levels up to 29 after this, which is helpful, but I know it's in a rough spot. Erica's last Pokemon is Gloom, and I keep forgetting that gym leaders in Yellow can have different teams compared to the original games. I'm not going to look up the rosters though, I like the surprise. Anyway, back to Gloom. Char is still faster, and Ember chips away at its health, but doesn't even take a third. Gloom retaliates with Acid, and unfortunately Char faints. Now it's Mew species' turn. Yikes, I forgot it's 10 levels lower than Gloom. This might not go well. Mew species is faster and lands a Mega Punch, lowering Gloom to just below half health. I'd love to land another, but Gloom uses Sleep Powder and Mew species falls asleep. From there, Gloom goes on the offensive with Acid. The defense drop from that move is not ideal. After another Acid, Mew species is now below half health. Things get even worse when Gloom uses Petal Dance, reducing Mew species' health to just 11 HP while it's still asleep. On the next turn, Petal Dance knocks Mew species out. Switching gears, I send out 25. Right out of the gate, we use Thunder Wave to paralyze Gloom. We need to slow it down and stall it. Since Gloom resists electric moves, we rely on Quick Attack. Luckily, Petal Dance ends and Gloom becomes confused. Between confusion damage and repeated quick attacks, we quickly wrap up the battle. Char almost handled that battle single-handedly, and he's still my favorite starter. After the gym, we have more business to take care of in Celadon, starting with Team Rocket in the game corner. Not to sound like a broken record, but this is another great opportunity for the whole team to gain experience, especially Mew species. I know Mew is a fantastic Pokemon, but its moveset takes forever to become good. And yes, I know it can learn any TM, but that's almost too daunting. I have no idea what moves I want to teach Mew species. Generation 1 may not have the most varied TM list, but it's still a solid spread, and the rest of the team already provides a lot of type coverage. I'm sure I'll make some decisions soon regarding Mew species and its TM use, but in the meantime, the rest of the team is pulling their weight as well, and we're seeing improvements like Nidoking learning Thrash. I'm not timing myself, but I've definitely gotten better at streamlining this portion of the game, dealing with the random rocket grunts and navigating the tile mazes. We're nearing the end of our time at the game corner, but in this version, we get a rematch with Jessie and James before facing Giovanni. Mew is pretty beat up at this point, so we switch it out for Char. At least Mew still gets some experience from that switch. Koffing starts out with a tackle, bringing Char below half health. Koffing is still in the green after our first Ember, but its Smog doesn't do much damage, so we're still hanging in there. The second Ember lands harder, dropping Koffing straight into the red. Char takes a bit more damage, but manages to knock out Koffing soon after. Next up is Meowth, and we decide to keep Char out. Ember performs better in this exchange, with the second hit taking Meowth down to half health. However, Meowth's bite lowers Char's health into the red. I was hoping the next Ember would finish it off, but Meowth survives with just a sliver of health. Fortunately, it wastes the next turn with Screech, giving us the perfect opening to use Scratch and take it down. That just leaves Ekans. This time we switch to Nidoking. Our newly learned Thrash hits hard, but the battle isn't over yet, as Ekans paralyzes Nidoking with Glare. We're stuck for a few turns due to bad process luck, but Ekans essentially wastes his turns by using a weak Poison Sting and Leer. Finally, Thrash lands again, sealing the win for us against Jessie and James. Now it's time to face Giovanni. He starts with Onix, and Mew species is still leading off for our team. Since Mew species is barely standing with terrible health, we immediately switch it out for Legend. Onix tries Bind, but misses, and while his Rock Throw lands, it doesn't do much damage. Of course, Onix doesn't stand a chance against Legend's Vine Whip, and it goes down quickly. The same story applies to Rhyhorn. Vine Whip is too much for it to handle. However, Persian is a different story. Legend stays in, and we adjust our strategy. Poison Powder lands successfully, which is a great start, though I'm not loving how much our defense has dropped from Persian's screeches. We follow up with Leech Seed, and thankfully it lands too. That proves crucial as Persian goes on the offensive in the next turn, and even one Payday is too much for Legend to handle. It's okay, buddy, you did a great job. Now it's 25's turn. Persian continues with Payday, and even though 25 hasn't been hit by Screech, the attack is still strong enough to be scary. Thankfully, Leech Seed provides a small heal each turn, and the poison damage keeps stacking. It's not much, but when we add Thunderbolt into the mix, the battle starts to look more even. Giovanni makes things easier by reverting to his usual random tactics, using a guard spec at the worst possible time, and one more Thunderbolt finishes Persian off. Giovanni, you really should have been more aggressive if you wanted to make this battle interesting. With another Giovanni fight behind us, we now have the Silph Scope, which means it's time to save Mr. Fuji in Pokemon Tower. This opens up the map nicely and gives us the option to move on to Silphco and free it from the Team Rocket takeover. However, I suspect the opponents there will bring a noticeable level jump, and I'm sure the team is not ready for that. I don't remember if I played this game in the intended order back when I first played it 25 years ago, but for this run I want to follow the badge order as the game intended. I mentioned in previous Generation 1 challenges that I often battled Sabrina before Koga as a kid. I'm not sure where that habit came from, but it might have had something to do with constantly passing through Saffron while bouncing between Celadon and Lavender Town. It just felt like I needed to deal with Saffron before heading farther out. For this run though, we'll take on Team Rocket Grunts and the Chandlers in Pokemon Tower, save Mr. Fuji, and then get the Poke Flute. It's honestly nice to have a full team for this segment, not a one Pokemon team that risks being stalled by ghost types. Mew species and Nidoking aren't much help here since their normal type moves don't work on ghosts, and Poison Sting barely scratches them, thanks to the Ghastly line being part poison type themselves. Speaking of which, can we talk about how strange it is that the only ghost types in Generation 1 are all part poison? Ghastly and its evolutions were supposed to counter the overpowered psychic types in this game, but because they're also poison type, they fold to psychic moves just as easily as anything else. At least they have great special stats in this generation, so they can still take a few hits and dish out damage. Battling them with special moves has been going fine, but they resist pretty well, and Nightshade can still be scary at this stage of the game, dealing fixed damage in the mid-20s. Thankfully, we can heal between battles, and the team is holding its own, gaining the experience we need for tougher challenges ahead. Eventually, we reach the ghost of the Mother Marowak. Legend still has its grudge against Cubone, so naturally it takes the lead. We start off with Poison Powder and follow up with Leech Seed. Even though Vine Whip is super effective, Marowak hangs on longer than expected, but our strategy of gradual damage wins out and we free her spirit, allowing her to rest. Now it's time to deal with Team Rocket. Oh wait, this is the yellow version, so it's Jesse and James waiting for us at the top. Should be an easy fight. They lead with Meowth, so we switch out Legend for 25. Thunderbolt hits hard, bringing Meowth to red health and paralyzing it. After taking a Screech, we finish it off with a quick attack. Next up is Arbok, and Mew Species steps in. Mega Punch looks underwhelming at first, but thankfully Arbok's Poison Sting isn't doing much of a threat. We get a streak of bad luck with back-to-back Mega Punches missing, but our luck turns when Arbok fails to inflict poison or paralysis. Mega Punch finally lands again, though it falls just short of a KO. 1 pound later, and Arbok is out. Finally, James sends out his newly evolved Weezing. Mew Species stays in, now at level 25, and continues with Mega Punch. Weezing starts with Smog, which barely scratches us, and I think Mega Punch is hitting harder here than it did against Arbok, maybe thanks to our level up. Weezing switches to Tackle, but by then it's too late. A critical hit Mega Punch seals the deal, and Mew handles Weezing easily. With Jesse and James defeated, we rescue Mr. Fuji, who rewards us with the Poke Flute. Now we can move on towards Fuchsia City. I'm not sure which route I'll take, but either way, there's a Snorlax to wake up and plenty of trainers to battle. It will all be great practice for the upcoming battle with Koga. That's it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know what challenges you'd like to see next or what you have enjoyed the most about this run so far. Also, if you have any criticisms or pointers, please send them my way too. I always appreciate creative input that can help make these videos better. Thanks for watching, and until next time, Geronimo.